Still Poddable.
Other teams might as well buy their tickets to Cancun now because the Celtics are on the path to ban on 19. With us on this journey are JT, Sam Packard, Brian, Rob, and Sean. So I'm gonna need you all to buckle in because this pod's gonna be a wild ride.
Still Poddable, still Poddable. The Boston Celtics still Poddable, still Poddable.
I've never seen anybody lose their season 2 years in a row.
A psychosexual celebration of the Boston Celtics.
Sup, folks? In many ways, this won't be a psychosexual celebration of the Boston Celtics. In other ways, it might be. I'm Sam Jam Packer. This is Still Poddable, joined by super producer Sean Gautier, coming to you after just a terrible, terrible time of a Game 6 in New York. The Celtics just didn't have anything. Jaylen Brown came to play. He scored some points. It was not a terrible first quarter. They were only down 6. I thought, keep this game close. Maybe they go on a run. Maybe they'll make some shots. The shots did not happen at all. Knicks outscored the Celtics 38-17 in the second quarter. They were up by 27. I can't even do math right now. Yeah, it seems like 27 is the amount they were up at halftime. 64-37. And at that point, it was just the Celtics were 4 of 19 from 3. It just was a general night of shittiness. You remember Game 5, though? Game 5 was pretty cool.
Like, honestly, we're getting to the, it's like the bench comes in. I see Torrey Craig take the floor and Baylor Shireman, and I was just like, Game 5 was one of the best Celtics games I've ever been to, and so you know what, I'm gonna hold on to that, and that's what I'm gonna remember, and I'm just gonna keep thinking back to that.
You know what was even cooler than Game 5? Last year when they won the championship. That was even cooler. People forget about that. They're so focused on this year's playoffs that we're not even talking about last year's playoffs when they won Banner 18 over here. I think I would have loved for this to be competitive. It was almost easier for me to deal with that it was so uncompetitive because there was no false hope there. I think the thing, and there's got to be a German word for this, but the amount of anger I get seeing Knicks fans have joy and the panning to the celebrities and Chalamet's fucking high-fiving Bad Bunny, that is not fun. And I've never in my life thought I'd become an Indiana Pacers fan, but I'm the biggest Andrew Nembhard guy for the next week and a half when the Pacers beat this team in 6 games. That's the thing that's frustrating to me. They never should have lost Game 1. Never should have lost Game 2. They should have won this series. Even with a Tatum, say Tatum gets injured the exact same way in Game 4, they should have been up 3-1 at that point, and then Game 5 would have been magical as well. It's just frustrating because I don't think the Knicks are very good, but my team just got absolutely waxed by those very Knicks, so I'm on no platform to say that. It's just it's what we call in the legal business a tough titties situation.
I mean, Packard, though, I think both of those things are still true, despite what despite watching the Celtics completely collapse against this Knicks team. At the end of the day, you look. I mean, we literally on this show we had the shot for shot breakdown after Game 1. The Celtics crumbled in this series, and obviously there's the Tatum injury, and that that adds that's a lot, but even outside of that, the Knicks weren't that great at any point in the series. Maybe tonight, almost,
They
but
just
like
kept taking
mostly,
threes late in the game, and
yeah.
it was frustrating.
But like genuinely, like the Celtics kind of crumbled. Not kind of. The Celtics crumbled. The Knicks were fine, and won games being fine. Like Jalen Brunson had a couple like incredible, especially like incredible quarters, and like um Mikal Bridges had incredible quarters, and like I'm not trying to say like they're a terrible team. I hate them so very much, but they're not a terrible team. They're just like a good team, and yeah, they shouldn't. Like the Celtics shouldn't have lost this series. They did, and I just like the Knicks are gonna fucking lose. And at least we, I feel like the thing is that like I'm even just watching the game. Like as I'm being a salty Celtics fan, I'm like, why are they still chanting Knicks in six? That's such a weird thing to chant when
It's
you're
pretty
winning.
established, yeah.
You're in the middle of winning the game. You don't. I'm like these guys don't know. These fans don't know what winning is like. This franchise doesn't remember what winning's like, and I'm glad that they get to have a massive party for making the conference finals.
Yes,
That's cool. It must be nice for that to be a fucking achievement.
a grand tip of the cap to the conference finals. It's something the Knicks have not achieved since the year 1999, when the great Will Smith released his Willennium album. So a kudos to them, I guess. I think like they definitely made some adjustments here where it's just like the Celtics got a lot of just great looks in game 5 and were able to create a lot of advantages. It feels like the Knicks didn't know if they were going to switch or not, what their pick and roll coverage is tonight. The Knicks defense was just a lot better. The Celtics got some open looks in this game in the first quarter, in the first half, just didn't knock them down, but there was not just the number of good looks that the Celtics got in game 5. And the Knicks just did a pretty solid job of just playing defense. And then Karl Towns was good, which was like a change. He decided to kind of show up and play decent basketball. And so it's just a tough way to go out. Did not like Jalen having to foul out. Like he was playing hard. But after, like, I don't know. I thought like maybe there's a chance you cut it to like 15, you go on a run to start the third quarter. It's like, oh, immediate 5-0 run by OG. It's like, oh, this is bad news, Bears.
Baylor Shireman looked pretty good. I know that it didn't matter whatsoever, but he was still playing against the Knicks starters because
Why were the Knicks starters
Tibbs is a
in for so
psychopath.
long? That doesn't make any sense to me.
When they
You're
subbed
up by
in OG,
30.
I was like, what is happening right now? But yeah, I mean, like, that's half a silver lining. It's not a silver lining, whatever. Who cares? Anyway, Baylor Shireman looked good. He was putting up shots. He was playing decent defense. Shireman looked
He was
decent there.
a +3. I mean, if we're doing some single game plus minus, Torrey Craig really led the way for the Celtics, was a +7. Yikes. Derek White was a -45 tonight.
Yeah.
Like, I don't get why Kristaps played as much as he did. Like, he didn't even look as bad, but it felt like we had a formula with like Luke Cornett playing some pretty solid defense, and it just like went back to the Kristaps well after I felt like we determined that wasn't the go-to. And he had made his 3, he had a block, he was contesting shots, like, but it's still, he looked exhausted out there. I just losing is not as fun as winning is my big takeaway.
Yeah.
It's going to be a shorter podcast tonight, but we have the legend Joshua B hanging out here. Joshua, what's going on? You got a comment? You got a question for us in our?
I've got a lot more than a comment. You seem to have the depression phase of the grief process down.
Yeah.
So let me see if I can give you guys a little bit of some of the other parts of the 5 stages of grief. I think that we should talk a little bit about the denial, and specifically the denial stage of the whistle, because what I saw in the first quarter was
Josh,
Jaylen Brown.
I'm gonna have to cut you off there. They lost by 45 points tonight.
Yeah, but I'm
It's
talking
got
about the
nothing
early
to do
part
with
of the
whistle.
game when we weren't getting any. No, you don't want to talk about that.
I'm
Well,
gonna
fine.
do
Let's
denial
move
on that.
over to the angry portion.
Yeah.
Yes.
Of the 5 stages of grief. I was pretty angry that Derek White chose this moment of all moments to go cold. Does that feel better? Does that ring true for you guys? Did you find yourselves frustrated that Derek White like chose this moment to go cold, or did you find yourself more appreciative of the last 11 games where he's essentially been good from three every single game? What did you
Tonight, I
feel?
was more focused on the missed shots than I was appreciative of the previous makes. I like to think I'm a nuanced person that I can hold these two beliefs. But tonight, when I was mostly locked in on trying to win this game, I was mostly focused on the misses.
That's
Yeah, Packard, I agree. And like, I don't know. I don't think anyone on the Celtics chose to have an absolutely calamitous evening, but it definitely did
Yeah, framing
happen.
it as a choice is interesting. That makes them seem like they're terrible people. It's like I'm just going to make
Yeah.
these people so disappointed in me.
Well, I tried the bargaining thing in the chat of the best podcast on Al Gore's internet, the Still Poddable podcast. You too can become a Patreon subscriber and hear more of the different kinds of bargainings that were going on in the chat. Specifically, there was bargaining about Kristaps Porzingis and what we could get for him in the trade column. If you listen to last podcast that I was on with Jam Packard, Jam very briefly said that he did legal research into how we could circumvent the salary cap so that we could actually save money by trading Kristaps Porzingis. I did my bargaining stage in the chat by finding every pulmonologist in the greater Boston metropolitan area and trying to send that over to Brad Stevens so that maybe Kristaps could figure out his respiratory issue and come back. So my second question to you before I get to the third question, and then I'll be done. Then
All
I'll
right,
then I'll
let's.
blast off since you're only at 11 minutes and 50 seconds of this very short podcast.
That's
Um,
11 minutes too long, if you ask me. It's just
oh, so my second question for you, Jim, is who did you find that we could trade Kristaps Porzingis for that we could cut immediately so that we could save the $30 million against the luxury tax? Do you
I
have any
think
actual?
Fred Van Vliet has a guy who you can waive him as of June 29th. Also, the rules you're talking about, like to say the Celtics trade someone like Sam Hauser and get under the second apron, then they're no longer have to take back exact salaries. So they could structure this in a series of deals where you don't like there's ways to cut money, but we can get to that later. We've got a whole bunch of off season to talk about now that the season is over. So Josh, hit us with your
Oh, well,
final
then give
question.
me one more. Give me one more
Let's hear the
question
final
at 12
question
minutes.
then.
One last thing. So there's no joy for last year's championship. There's no joy in this incredible run that we've had. We all need to glower in the game six awful loss, just
In
so
the
I can be
game
sure.
6 post-game podcast, I think it is an appropriate time to be glower and feel the feelings of the shittiness. And so here's the thing, Josh, that I've learned in my advanced age. Don't ignore the feelings. Sit with those feelings. You have to feel your feelings, folks, because if you just ignore them, they'll come back and suddenly you'll find yourself half naked, face down in a gutter somewhere because you've tried to ignore these feelings for so long. So let's sit in this
Fair enough.
grittiness and
Fair enough.
acknowledge
Here's
that
what
this isn't fun. Losing is not fun.
Fair enough. Here's what I've learned in my advanced age, being slightly older than you, Mr. Jam Packard. I have learned that there is only one team in the entire NBA that is going to be going for banner 19. No matter how good any of these other teams play, there will only be one team that will be going for banner 19 next year. Not the Lakers, not the Knicks, not the Pacers, not the Nuggets, not the Thunder. That will be the Boston Celtics. Loved the show, loved you guys all year, and we'll love you again next year. Have a
Oh,
good
appreciate
night.
it, Joshua. And you're gonna have to appreciate. We're not going anywhere until next year. We're
Yeah,
gonna be
listen.
having podcasting every day through this very interesting off season. So appreciate the perspective there, Josh. Yeah, I mean, I think Celtics fans, you're allowed to be disappointed right now. You probably should be disappointed right now. It's not how your season expected to end, especially you had championship expectations, and just to have the season end on such a bad night where the team just completely didn't show up, it sucks. It sucks. It sucks. I am now a Nuggets fan. I am now a Timberwolves fan. I'm now
No.
a Pacers fan. You're anti-Timberwolves?
Deeply so.
Why is that? Because they're filled with bad guys?
Yeah, it's all the bad people over there. I'm anti that.
Reasonable people can disagree, but that's a fair point. Rudy Gobert just
And
left his wife.
We've discussed, and Rudy Gobert shut down the NBA, sort of. But also, we all like to forget that Rudy Gobert started a pandemic.
He coughed on his hands and then touched a bunch of reporters' microphones as though it was a goof. March 2020. All right, I'm out on the Timberwolves. Okay, let's go Nuggets. Let's go Pacers.
Yeah, and we've discussed our hatred of unethical ball, and so they're Oklahoma City. No.
Oh, I didn't.
Nope.
I didn't mention them for a reason.
Yeah, I know. And I'm like, them. No, the Knicks. Obviously, no. But I'm here for Aaron Neesmith now. Here we go.
Oh yeah, Green Bean.
Aaron Neesmith.
Big Crash fan. It's going to be the Aaron Neesmith series. Andrew Nemhard, our guy. I'm even going to root for Pascal Siakam. I'm not going to feel good about it, but it's the choice of two evils. I can't stand Jalen Brunson. I can't stand Karl Anthony Towns. Mikal Bridges really rubs me the wrong way for some reason. Josh Hart I respect because that guy just hustles, but he looks goofy with his broken eye. I don't really like him. OG hit that shot with against us when he was on the Raptors over Taco Fall, or the pass was in over Taco Fall. That still hurts. Mitchell Robinson is really weird online presence, which you think I would like, but since he's on the Knicks, I don't like. Yeah, it sucked. It was a very interesting season. We'll do a little bit of season retrospective here because there's expectations the entire way, and it was just kind of like they never hit the same level they were last year, except towards the end of this, the run of, they really got things going in March and April, and it was hard to know how real that was because they weren't necessarily playing the best teams with so many different teams tanking. They didn't really have a lot of important games for the final 6 weeks of the season, it felt like. And man, game 1 and game 2 really sucked. Like they win one of those games. I feel like we're talking about an entirely different set of events. And the thing is, we knew that this was the likely outcome as soon as Tatum got helped off the floor at MSG. Like there was really slim chances of winning this series. Game 5, I'm glad they gave us some basketball joy here. It's just gonna be weird now heading into the offseason where you don't know what's gonna happen.
But also, I think on the one hand, you're joking about being nuanced and holding two truths at once, right? Like on the one hand, I'm like, this team has the reigning Finals MVP and the 6th Man of the Year on the same squad. And short, yes, they did lose Jason Tatum, but they should have been better than they were tonight.
Oh yeah, tonight was bad.
Game 5 felt like how that team could operate without Jason Tatum. And tonight was just a absolute disaster. But on the other hand, I'm like, there's some absolute dooming and glooming in all Celtic spaces, and I'm like, at the same time, guys, in a season where the game plan, we don't know who's going to be on the team anymore, whatever. But there's a lot of Jaylen Brown hate. As it feels like every offseason we get a lot of Jaylen Brown hate, but it's like a team led by Jaylen Brown where they're planning to be a team led by Jaylen Brown is just a different thing than a team led by Jaylen Brown because Jason Tatum got hurt 72 hours ago, and we're jumping into the middle of a playoff run where you're down 3. You know what I mean? It's such a different experience, and yeah, I trust I trust Brad Stevens we're not going to be tanking for. I don't watch college basketball. I don't know who's supposed to be good next year. I just
BYU's AJ Debanza, Boston's own. He's going to be the number 1 pick. So maybe we'll tank for him, but probably not. They're still going to be a pretty good team. The thing that's frustrating to me, and I'm trying not to look forward that too much, is that yesterday and today I talked myself into this version of the Celtics being able to beat the Indiana Pacers and go to the NBA Finals. Like I had already been like, well, they could win Game 6. Anything happens in Game 7, and who knows what happens in a Pacers series? And that's why I feel dumb. Is for we knew they were probably going to lose the series without Tatum, and Game 5 gave you some hope, and it was such a fun game. And I hate myself for having hope. You know when you're optimistic and you get a swift kick to the junk, and you think, but the entire previous 48 hours you were really hoping you weren't going to get a swift kick to the junk, but somehow in the back of your head you knew you were always going to get a swift kick to the junk, and then you get that swift kick to the junk, and it hurts. It hurts because you just got kicked in the junk. Now I'm just trying to say kicked in the junk as much as I can as I scroll down to the junk button. Yeah, it sucked. Bad game. I'm sure Jay and B-Rob will talk about it on a Sunday pod. I got two things of junk before we get out of here. Did you see when they flashed to Brad Stevens in the crowd and he's wearing double AirPods like you were right now?
I didn't. That's incredible.
I don't know why. Either he's on the phone or he doesn't like loud noises, but I thought that was funny. And then finally, Happy Gilmore 2 is going to be an awful movie.
Yeah, for sure.
And at some point as American society, we need to have new ideas again. I saw a preview. I went to the movies yesterday, saw a preview for I Know What You Did Last Summer, a reboot where they brought back Freddie Prinze Jr. I was like, you can make is anyone yearning to see I Know What You Did Last Summer again and to see a Freddie Prinze Jr. flick? So that was pretty disappointing. Probably more disappointing than this Celtics loss tonight, if I had to rank them. I did see the movie Sinners. That was
yeah,
that was fun. It was very violent though. I didn't know going in it was a vampire movie, so I was shocked when the vampires came.
That's incredible. That is so good. No. I'll wait to just talk Sinners with you for a few seconds when we're done recording this Boston Celtics podcast.
All right, that sounds good. For everyone who's tuned into a Poddable post-game show this year, this is the first year we've done the full post-game show. We really might doing it live here on the YouTubes. We appreciate everyone who's tuned in, everyone who subscribes to the pod. It's been a fun ride. Appreciate Sean. You joined me for most of these shows. Appreciate all the commenters. Appreciate Josh B, Gambling Grant, all the legends who have tuned in, everyone participating in chat. It's been a fun season. We're not going anywhere. There'll just be a lot less games to talk about. We might turn into an Indiana Pacers podcast. We'll see what happens with that. But definitely appreciate everyone who's tuning in. And we'll be back, I guess, Monday morning. Talk about the offseason. Offseason starts today, folks. Start looking. I don't even know. The Celtics don't have a draft pick, do they? I don't know.
They do. They've got two, I think.
Oh yeah,
Both
they got
of
one
them,
in the early in the second round, and then they have their own pick. So yeah, start watching that Atlantic 10 tape. Tell me what Stony Brook was doing this year, and we'll come back and talk about it next week. I appreciate you guys for tuning in. Oh, come on. We got just random dudes on the YouTube putting in comments saying Buck Foston. Just say it with your chest.
That's because their loser mayor tweeted that or something.
Still Poddable, still Poddable. The Boston Celtics still Poddable, still Poddable.
Oh, yeah. Go down from eating and drinking and all that wild stuff.